All right, everyone, welcome to the Walking Out Your Purpose podcast with yours truly, Alicia Smith. Thank you all so much for coming back to another episode. And we today are going to talk to a magnificent woman of God and author, new to her resume, just a beautiful spirit. And I'm so glad for you all to hear from her today. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you get to see her live, and you get to learn a little bit more about her journey, her walk, and of course, her new book, because we all about supporting over here. And so I thank you all again for just joining us. And without further ado, because I want you all to hear from her, her name is Krystle Hunter, and she is a fellow Michigan State University alum. Go Green.
Go white.
And we met actually in Michigan State University Gospel Chorus. And so I'm so excited years and years later to have her on the show. So welcome, Krystle.
Thank you so much, Alicia. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here tonight.
Awesome, awesome. So why don't we start, if you can educate our audience on who you are, what you're all about. Who is Krystle?
So I'm Krystle Hunter. I am a proud native of Detroit, Michigan. I absolutely love it. And my entire, I guess, career and, when you put your resume before people has been in the sphere of education and the nonprofit sector. So my day gig is actually as area operations director for the Boys and Girls Club of Muskegon. And so I love it. I love kids. I love youth and empowering them in leadership. And then my other passion is for women and families to flourish as well. And so my entire life, I have found myself either working with women or working with children and youth in some capacity. And it's also a part of my purpose. The Lord has opened up so many wonderful opportunities to serve others through ministry. And so that's my spiel. I am a lover of life and laughter and sisterhood. And so I'm just trying to please God, trying to live life right and
Yeah,
really just make Jesus famous.
that's awesome and amazing. I'm rocking already. This is going to be so good. I'm so excited. But I love that you said that your passion is children and your passion is women, and you get to work in that space.
Yeah.
I think it's always a blessing to be able to also, as a career, do what you're passionate about and what your purpose
Yes,
is. It just makes it just so much easier.
it
And
does.
even on those hard days when it's, chaos and probably kids running around, or, just challenges, you can look back and say, but I know this is what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
and this too shall pass, and it'll be okay. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's
I
amazing.
was just sharing that with someone. They posted on social media, is it easier to be an entrepreneur or to work for someone else? And I said, it's not a matter about it being easy, right? Like
Yeah.
you have to find your purpose. Your purpose is what makes life easier, right?
Yes.
And I think a lot of times when we find ourselves begrudgingly working or
Right.
begrudgingly serving, it's probably because we're not really aligned with purpose. We might
Mhm.
be good at it. We might be following in our parents' footsteps. It might make us more money, but it's
Right.
not necessarily the purpose. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think it's so important where you can intertwine those things
Hmm.
is amazing, because it brings so much fulfillment and it
Yes.
brings joy.
Yes.
And every day is not going to be right butterfly and rainbows, right? We're going to have, like I said, challenging days or what have you. But I often think about even what I do in my day to day, and often my team is like, how do you do it? Like, how are you not, overwhelmed, or how are you
Yep.
not, which I am overwhelmed. It's a lot, but it's a choice in how I
Yes.
decide to show up, and the fact that I know I'm in the
Yeah.
alignment with God, right?
Yeah.
And this is what He has me doing. So beautiful. Okay, so tell us a little bit, maybe dive a little bit deeper into your purpose, and when did you discover it?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Always like to say that I am walking purpose out like in faith, day by day. I, with my whole heart, believe that God created me and others very much so out of the box. And so when I think about labels or titles or things of that such, I almost get nervous because I'm like, Yeah, and then the Lord is going to reveal something else in the next 5 years or the next 10 years or 20 years.
Right.
What I have learned about myself, what I truly enjoy doing is being a facilitator. And I like to say, like, a facilitator of breakthrough. So I am the one that is, we're going to do some deep diving. We're going to have those deep conversations. I bring resources and I say, here, what is it that you need? Can you take a little bit of this? Can you take a little bit of that? And so I know in whatever area I am called to be in, that 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna see the problem. I'm gonna
Yeah.
see the issue.
Yeah.
And don't nobody ever like to really be in that spot. But the reason that I'm wired that way, that the Lord revealed to me, is because my purpose is to facilitate breakthrough. Like, I go in and I say, that's not the best that you can be, right? That's not all that you can be. That's not the top level that you can reach. And so then my job is to figure out, okay, how are we gonna help somebody come up by the bootstraps? How are we gonna help lift up somebody else? How are we gonna, help bring solution to this pain point?
Yeah.
So I see pain, I see
Yeah.
hurt, I see issues and problems, and I say that's what we want to deal with right there. So there's no pretty way to say it,
Yeah.
but
But I
that's what it
think
is.
the fact that you're even able to articulate that, right? I think that's where people
Mhm.
tend to struggle, right? Is,
Yeah,
because what we the common answer to what you just said is, I like to help people.
yeah.
Right. But the way that you articulated that, and like you said, in every situation,
Hmm.
you have vision, like you can
Yep,
literally see, right, and then
yep.
act, right,
Hmm.
intercept and act. So I think that's beautiful. When do you think, you discovered that? Do you think that was in college? Did that come later, as a
Oh
kid?
my goodness.
Yeah.
So maybe around 2015, 14, 15-ish, somewhere, I went through a leadership development course, and it was a 12-month commitment, and it was through this organization in Grand Rapids, Michigan, called GR Initiative for Leaders. And in that course, we went deep. I mean, every leadership book, every leadership principle, we went deep. And not only was it based off of the world's standards of leadership, but it really was rooted in scripture. And more so than it being like leadership development, it was personal development. Like, you got to be okay
Yeah.
knowing that the Lord may pluck you and move you to organization to organization
Come on.
because you fix
Speak
things,
about it.
right?
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah.
you've got to be okay when everybody else is, happy go lucky and positive and cheery. You're going to be the one to say, but wait, like, what about this one little issue, right? And
Yeah.
so over time, that was where I felt like I really developed the language. And this was in my 30s. So forget the teens, forget the 20s. So it's like one of those moments in life where you are trying to really stand, flat footed and say, okay,
Mhm.
God, like, who have you called me to be?
Right.
Why have you called me to be this way? And so over time, what Grill did for me was that they introduced, like, it's okay to be different. Like, you shouldn't be looking like anybody else, right? And that opened up for me, that kind of gave me permission to explore, right?
Mhm.
That gave me permission to say, if my resume looks like this, but theirs looks like that, oh, well, so be it, right? And over time, I've just continued to dive deep. Every year is a pivotal year for me. Like, every moment is an opportunity to be like, that's why God created me like that, or that's why I do that a little bit different.
Right.
So it's been ongoing, and I first had to like shake off and rid myself of wanting to be like somebody else, right?
That
And
part.
not being okay with, it's just Krystle, y'all. And
Yeah.
she's still trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to forgive me if my journey or my development doesn't fit in with yours,
Mm.
or your timeline. You just got to let me live my life. I'm gonna let you live yours, and prayerfully we all please God
Right.
in
Right.
it.
And at the end of the day, the Bible tells us we are a peculiar people.
Yeah,
We are a royal priesthood. And
yeah,
so, right, think about, everybody's not royal. You know what I mean? It's in the sense of, um, we're different and it's okay. You know what I
yes, and
mean?
it's okay.
And it's okay.
Like
Yeah.
that was a part of his plan for us to
Yeah.
be different.
Yeah. Right. And sometimes we're like, oh, we're the, the eye duckling, so to speak. But God just, he blows our mind, right? He
Yes,
uses
all the
us
time.
in ways that we just can't imagine when we submit, when
That's
we
it.
say yes, when we are obedient, when we are in a listening and not
Come
a just
on.
talk, 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 right? But
Come
when
on.
we're really when we're really adhering to the spirit, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
God will show, I tell people all the time, I know a lot of people talk about, oh, it's so hard to figure out my purpose. And I know sometimes it's hard, again, it's hard to articulate it because
Yes.
most of the time we kind
Have
of
that
know,
vocabulary. Yeah.
right? We kind
Yep.
of know, right? We just have to get the words and the vocabulary
Yes.
to express it. But if we just sit still and we just think about the nudges that God gives us, the things that just honestly drop in our lap, the
Mm-hmm.
things that just manifest themselves, right? And
Yes.
it's easy for us to, and I'm using the word loosely, easy, but it's easy for us to figure it out, to
Yeah.
to to support that person, to
Yeah.
help a child, to, right? It just kind of comes natural, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
about leadership, and something that I often hear from people that I work for, they're like, Alicia, they're like, you just get it. And it's like, I didn't necessarily, this is not, there was not a leadership 101 course at Michigan
Nope.
State, right? I mean,
No.
so maybe there is,
It
but you
should
know
have.
what I mean? Like I wasn't enrolled in that course.
Yes.
Um, but it's the spirit. It literally is the spirit of
Uh,
God, right? And I
yeah.
think sometimes we make things more difficult than they need to be. People want to feel valued. People
Yep.
want to feel respected. People
Yep.
want you to have empathy. They want you to care. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so when we do those things, right, leadership will exude. And when you have the spirit
Yes.
of God, I'm telling you, yes, he will pluck you and put you some places, and you just gotta strap up.
Yeah.
I remember when my husband and I were getting married, and I told him, I was like, listen, I'm career minded. I'm telling you now. And literally, I think we've moved now like 5 times. It's
Oh my
insane.
goodness. Yeah.
We had the conversation in the beginning, but it was all God. Like, because there were times when I wanted to go, and my husband was like, "No, God has us on assignment.
Yep.
It ain't time to go." Right? And there were times where he was like, "Okay, I am aligned, and I feel like God is in this
Mm-hmm.
as well, and let's go." So yeah, it's just about saying yes. It's about being
Yeah.
obedient, and
Yeah.
just and getting to a place of comfort in who you are.
Yep. And let God do what God does.
Yes. He's
Right.
the author and finisher of our
Yeah.
like he's the alpha and omega. He is the
Yep.
person that is steering the ship. I think
Yes.
there's a
Yes.
passage in Proverbs, and I think it's in chapter 16, but y'all read Proverbs and you'll see it. But there's a passage that talks about, we can plan all day,
Yep.
but the Lord's purpose will prevail, and
Always.
that is one of my favorite verses,
Always.
especially when you think about the what we're talking about. So okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, let's get back to you, girl. So tell us what led you to, first of all, tell us about the book.
Mm.
Tell us
Okay.
what led you to writing this amazing book that I already know it's amazing. Mine is in the mail for
Thank
sure,
you.
on its way. But tell us about it, and kind of how God just worked it out for you to become an author. That's just amazing accomplishment.
It is very surreal. And I'm like, Lord, what? That's what? I'm supposed to be working with kids and anyway, but yeah, what a story. I said earlier that I see pain, right? I may not always say anything about it, but I see where people hurt. And oftentimes there are things and situations around me that bring me pain. And I'm like, is this my pain? Whose pain is this? Like, where's this coming from? And All the Single Ladies is the name of my book. And it came out of a space of pain, because single, unmarried women in the church, there is one pain of, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm worthy or if I'll ever get a husband or get married or things of that sort. But there's a whole other pain that comes from, when people tell you that you're not ready, or, when people tell you, just keep waiting, or you need to do this to change yourself, or you need to be a certain way, right? There's society, right? So much pain. So All the Single Ladies came out of like an exhaustion, like, and I told my spiritual mother, I have to keep sharing this because anyone who knows me, remember, I love ministering to women. I love what God does through women. And the women of the Bible, Krystle, no, right? Like I got them. Like I rock hard with the women of the Bible. But I had to share with my spiritual mom. I said to her one day, I said, I am so sick and tired of hearing about Ruth and Boaz. I'm tired of hearing about Queen Esther. Like I know their stories front and back. There's nothing new coming out of it. No new, it's the same thing. And oftentimes to single women, that's how it's preached, like you not working hard enough, or you not serving, hard enough. And that's why you're not married. And so when I shared that with her, something just kind of like broke on the inside of me to be able to be that honest. And it's like, I'm not saying I don't like the Bible or nothing, but I'm just saying like the way we are receiving this message now, after having been saved for 20 years and 30 years and 40 years for some of the, more seasoned women, y'all got to come with something new. You got to tell me something else, because wait on the Lord, you got to tell me something else. And so I went to God and I said, Lord, I don't know how long you're going to have me waiting, but if you're going to have me wait, then you got to give me an example. You got to show me like how to really do this thing. And so the Lord impressed upon my heart to study the unmarried women of the Bible.
That's so good.
Had never done that before,
Right.
like ever, like had never even clicked. And so then even in that, the Lord revealed to me, like, Krystle, it's the world that puts all these labels and titles on people. When I look at my children, I see son, I see daughter. I don't see, married one or single one or widowed one or divorced one. Like I see son, I see daughter. And in that, I was like, let me dig a little bit deeper into this. So all the single ladies, it's really a celebration of unmarried women in the Bible and all of the great things that the Lord did through them and with them and by them without a husband. And so it's definitely not a male bashing book, but I really feel in my heart that it gives us unmarried women some hope that, sister, like, you still got a lot to do before you get married, and not because you are preparing for a husband, but because you have a lot to do. Like this is about what God has ordained you to do without a husband. And so just recognizing that, in history, how women have been almost seen as second-class citizens and all of those things when it comes to Christianity and the church, I should say.
Yeah.
So this came out of that pain point. Like, I'm not the only single woman that's tired of folks saying that you're not ready, right? Or you need to keep preparing, or, focus all of your attention on making sure you are ready or right for a husband or for a mate. And so this book has 7 different unmarried women in it. I had so much
Come on,
fun.
completion.
I know, right? I had so much fun, Alicia. I was like, oh, look at her. Oh, and somewhere in that process, the Lord just kind of broke this stuff off of me. Like, you don't have to be ashamed. You don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to live a humdrum life, waiting for Boaz. Like, Boaz is going to come when I say Boaz comes. Until then, sweetheart, I need you to really live John 10:10. Like, you waiting on an abundant life, and you think abundant life comes in marriage, and that's just simply not true. If that were the case, the Lord would have married us off out of the womb. And so God showed me that he said, every woman and man, of course, but every woman has a single season, with the exception of Eve. Eve was like the only woman
right.
ever in history that did not have to be single for a portion of time. So if it were all about just marriage, or all about just this wonderful, future husband of ours, then God would have made that happen right away. But he didn't. He didn't. Some of us are single for longer periods of time. And I believe whatever that period of time is, whether it's a period of time or whether it's all your life, there is still a great work to be done in your individuality. So that's the gist of it.
Girl, that is so, so, so good. And you're right. I mean, God, first of all, God will use everyone, anyone, right?
Yeah.
That certainly has a willing spirit. God, sometimes he takes us
Yeah.
unwillingly, but once you have accepted Christ, of course, right?
Yeah.
He will use anyone. And the Bible even talks about, right, when you are unmarried, right, it is you have more freedom. Not saying
Yes.
that you should just, you're not gonna, all day long, just okay,
Yeah.
you gotta work, you gotta make a living, so
Yeah.
God understands that, but it talks about you have a little bit more freedom to do some things, because when you're married, you got a
You got.
family that becomes your ministry.
Come on.
Like, and me being married to a minister, like, it can get hard sometimes, because he's like, I got souls, not that your soul ain't important, but I got some souls that need to be saved, or some people that need to
Yeah.
be counseled, or whatever, right? So, I definitely hear you. I'm glad that God dropped that in your spirit. I know the book is going to bless so many people.
Thank you.
And I had, when I purchased it, I had people in mind that I wanted them to just be uplifted, encouraged, because you're right.
Yeah.
First of all, there's so much for all of us to do in the kingdom, but I definitely agree that for single women, or widows, or whomever, right, that
Whomever.
there's
Yeah.
a calling on your life, and God wants to see you. Because think about, even with this podcast, right? I have to be like, hey, babe, can you work with me? Because I need you to keep the kids so I can do, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
I want to do ministry, right? But it takes
Yes.
sacrifice. So when I love that fact that you talked about, there's so much in you,
Yeah.
especially when you're single, to give back to God and to serve people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's,
Mm-hmm.
and listen, Jesus wasn't married. He came with a mission, a purpose. He got some stuff done. So it's some stuff that can be
Yeah.
done for
Yeah.
sure.
When you think about it, you be like, man, Lord, really? And you know, when we were talking earlier about like being in purpose and operating in that, I cannot express to you like the newfound joy that I have. Like
Mhm.
this feels so right. And no matter how tired I am, I'm like, man, I'm having a blast with this. Like
Yes.
I love promoting Jesus in this way. And so, I told my friend the other day, I was like, so then when I get a husband, I'll be like, like you just have to shift. You have to pivot, and the
Right.
Lord will grace us
Yeah,
for whatever season we're in.
absolutely.
But in my humanness, I had a moment like, oh man, like I'm, but what it did though, Alicia, like it recharged me. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, Lord, what else you want me to do? Right?
Right.
Like
Right.
what's next? Because I want to experience all of this and
Mhm.
all of whatever God has for me in my unmarried season, and then whatever God has for me in my married season. Like I don't want to leave any of it on the table. So I'm so grateful that even though it was a hard process, like even though it, you know, took a lot out of me emotionally, and to do like some soul work and spiritual work with it, um, I'm so grateful because I just have a new perspective and a new everything. So yeah,
That's amazing. And listen, it's going to bless so many people.
thank you,
I am believing God for just tremendous success, internationally. I mean, because
thank you, thank you.
it's so needed. And,
Hmm.
I think I was listening when you were doing one of your interviews, and I was thinking about one thing you said was, you know, we have all these single conferences, right, and we have all these things that we go to, right, but there's not something that talks about it in this way, and the fact
Yeah.
that it's okay, right, because it's always like prepare. And let me
Yes.
tell you, it's listen, getting married is not that you should not do some counseling, or that you
Yeah.
should not work on it, but it's just that it's like having a baby, that
Yeah.
nobody can teach you the exact formula.
You just throw it out the window. I mean, it's just
Right. Nobody can teach you the exact formula. Yeah, God is, of course, has to be in the mix, right? But
yes,
but but what do you do when your baby is like wailing at 2 a.m.? What do you do when your husband is like, you're
yes,
tripping? Right. I mean,
yeah.
it's just you have to work at it, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and so there's no, I know we focus on preparation and all of that stuff. And again, that has its place.
Yeah.
But getting to a place of contentment
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
being okay with who you are in Jesus, and like you
Hmm.
said, I mean, now you have a whole newfound joy,
Yeah.
and you're going to bless, like I said, bless so many lives, so that's
It's
amazing.
been amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, So, so what would you say singleness has taught you, or what has it allowed you to do as it relates to your purpose?
Oh gosh, so much. One thing that it has taught me is to cherish and to well, what's the word I want to use? To cherish and like appreciate, I guess, or honor God's timing. Like, don't waste the timing of the Lord. Um, because the Lord, that's what I want to say. It has taught me just how intentional the Lord is. Um, and when we say, like, He knows our ending before our beginning, and He knows the plans that He has for us. Like,
Mm,
we say it, but if
right.
you pause and sit down in that thing,
Yeah.
God knows the plans. Like, you think you're making, and we are making our own decisions. The Lord is not puppeteering us or
Right.
anything like that. But we think we're doing it to gratify us or to bring us joy. When really God is like, yeah, that was a part of my plan for you. I was thinking that about you all along. I was hoping that you would, take this job and move to this state and meet that individual and start this. Like, that's exactly what I wanted you to do. And so I love just now in singleness, like sitting back, on a Friday night with the Lord chilling, like, and it just hits me like a ton of bricks. And so he's showing me, like, Krystle, my timing for you is impeccable. Like, it all has to line up. And that was one of the revelations that he gave me about the word ready, because oftentimes single people, we hear that we're not ready for marriage. And the Lord showed me it's not necessarily a person not being ready. That's an aspect to it, but also the timing is not ready. If
Yeah.
you were to get married now, you wouldn't do that ministry assignment that you needed to do in your singleness, and then that would have messed up the plans for the rest of the people that were counting on your ministry, but you were off being married,
That's
right?
good.
Or or the timing being right as far as what is your family ready to receive, what is ready to be birthed out of your marriage, what
Yeah.
is ready to be birthed out of your singleness. And so I've had to learn, like, stop rushing, stop waking up every day like this today, like, there's a way to have faith and a way to have hope, but still a way to say, God, I trust you.
Yeah.
Like, you'll let me know. you
Yeah.
you the Lord is not going to allow us to miss out on something, right? As we remain in communion with Him and in fellowship with Him, if our heart's desire is to obey and to please God, He's not going to allow us to miss out and be like, oh, okay, find your way back home.
Yeah.
That's not the
Yeah.
character of God, right?
Yeah.
So I have appreciated learning that, and just resting in God's timing and learning that He's intentional. And if He's intentional, I don't have to stress out about it.
Right.
I have to obey Him. I have to walk with Him, but I don't have to, stay up at night scratching my head like, how am I gonna make this happen?
Yeah.
How am I gonna make sure I'm in the right place at the right time to receive a blessing? Like, you don't have to do that. You just gotta walk with Him. You just gotta walk with Him.
Listen, he steers the ship.
Yeah,
We serve a
yeah,
God that can say, peace be still to tumultuous water.
yes,
Like,
yes. And that water will
so
be like, okay, Jesus.
it's okay.
Like,
Listen,
yeah,
so I appreciate your perspective on that. And I want to just, encourage people that are listening, and those that may be single. You know, as a married woman, I certainly appreciate being married. I love my
yeah,
husband, all that good stuff. But God is your all.
yeah,
God is your everything.
yeah,
Marriage is beautiful. But even God is above that.
yes,
You know
yes.
what I'm saying? And you have to marry somebody that understands that as well, right?
Hello, come on.
So I think that making sure that, like you said, that we really sit with those scriptures and we really understand that it's God's plans. And
Yeah,
again, Romans 8:28, right? That
they all gonna work.
everything's for his purpose. Like it's
They
all
all gonna work.
yeah, it's all gonna work out, right?
Yeah.
No, I love that. So given that we're in this pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's been different. And it's been different in different ways for people, right? But how have
Yeah.
you had to pivot? Maybe share some things that you've had to do differently, maybe in either your walk with Christ, or maybe in your business, or
Mm-hmm.
at work. Just kind of, what does it look like for you?
Well, this is interesting because I don't know, maybe a month before the pandemic broke out, one of my friends put on as their social media status, what is keeping you from doing the thing that God called you to do, right? I,
Listen.
I knew exactly. I said it's my 9 to 5 because I love my 9 to 5, right? And sometimes I struggle with that. Like, God, I want to do ministry full time, but I also love my 9 to 5. What do you want me to do with that? And I said, it's my 9 to 5 because I'm gonna give my all there. And then by the time I get home, I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. And he said a quick little prayer on the post to say, God, give Krystle the time to do what she needs to do for you. Well, bam, thank you, ma'am. COVID.
Won't he? That's what I said. Literally, I said earlier, he will drop it in your lap. And I
He
literally
was
need
like,
that. Like, served it on a platter, honey. Come on.
that's all you needed some time. I got that back to that timing, right? Like that's all you needed. That's all you need is a global
Yes, yes.
pandemic to do my will. Call it done, right? And that unlocked. I mean, all the single ladies has been a journey. Probably about 4 years, if I'm being honest, because like I said, there was some soul work and healing that came out of it for myself as well. But COVID pivoted me because I was like, okay, this is what it means to, to serve the Lord. This is what it means to seek God, right? To seek him while he may be found. You got time, daughter. And you're not as tired, right? Because you didn't have to go interact with people. You didn't have to drive to work in crazy snow. You didn't have to, come in contact with things that were, throwing you off schedule, right? And this is my perspective. So I understand that the pandemic didn't do this for everybody, but it's a testimony for
Yeah,
me
absolutely.
because I was like, God, oh, this is what I needed. And so I love that I was able to spend some time with the Lord. I love that I was able to go in deep. I love that I was able to like take a step back and assess. So even I had to reinitiate my therapy sessions because I told my therapist, I said, I know people are dying and I'm not making light of that, but I feel like me being alone, like I got a plant. That's all I got. Living in this house is a
That's
plant. The
it.
plant, Krystle, and Jesus and the Holy Ghost, right? Um, and I realized how lonely I was feeling. And around Christmas, Thanksgiving time, the Lord said, "Nope, we're not going to do this." And I had to then learn and pivot in the pandemic how to be intentional about my mental health, how to be intentional about my emotional health, because I would hear people saying, "Oh, I'm so sick of being at home with my husband," or "I'm sick of being at home with my kids," and I'd be like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Like, seriously. I got 4 walls. 4 walls is what I got. And, some Friars ice cream. Are you kidding me? Right?
Girl, stop.
So again, in my humanity, I was like, okay, Lord, I'm struggling. Like, how do we do this? And slowly but surely, the Lord has like showed me like this is how you hold on to your joy. This is how you hold on to your freedom. This is how you hold on to your mental strength, because yeah, the enemy is trying to take us out every single day, right? So you
Mercy.
cannot just like sit and lay back and feel like, oh, let the angels watch over me. Yeah, they're going to do their part, but God put resurrection power on the inside of you too for you to be able to do your part.
C-
So in the pandemic, Krystle
Come
had
on.
to learn, Krystle, you make your own happiness. If there's nobody that calls you or nobody that checks on you, you and Jesus got to figure out how to make yourself happy, right? You got to figure out what's going to bring you joy when it seems like everything else is dead around you.
Mm,
And so I'm so grateful for the pandemic because it unlocked creativity.
yeah.
It unlocked like this new self-love and appreciation. It unlocked some maturity and some discipline for me, right? Like, Krystle, you got to change the way you think about things. You got to shift your mindset about things. So it has truly, and I have lost, I've lost both, I would say, physically, right? Like I've grieved and had some family members pass away. Um, but when I considered that the Lord still put breath in my body and I'm still
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I was able to go through it, right? And I know that's going to be hard for people to comprehend and to deal with over the next few years of, oh, holy crap, like we have lived through a pandemic. Like you couldn't have paid us to believe that, as teenagers or
Absolutely.
as 20-year-olds or, early 30-year-olds. Oh, you're going to live through a global pandemic. How do you feel about that, right?
Right.
We would have never thunk it, but here we are. What? We're a year. We're pretty much a
Almost a
year.
year. I think it was like March 15th when the world
Yeah,
started. Yeah.
yeah. You know what I mean? And the Lord has been faithful. I
Mm,
know sometimes it's churchy, but when you really
that's
kind of come
real.
to grips with that, the Lord has been faithful.
Yes, he
He
has.
really has. So I just love learning and kind of, sinking my feet into this new space with God. Like that's what grandmama meant, that you'll carry us through, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
Yes.
it just becomes more real. So
Yeah.
there's been a lot of change, but there, above anything else, there has been growth and there has been creativity and intentionality.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or you have dropped the mic. I don't even have any, there's no follow-up that's even needed. But you just ministered, to so many people. And I pray that people really hear the words that you said. And you mentioned a key word, which was perspective.
Yeah.
And I think if we really take the time to think it, for any situation, if we really, again, sit with ourselves,
Yep.
sit with the spirit and be quiet
Yep.
and really just adapt a different perspective,
Yeah.
that can change how you show up
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And,
When the Bible says, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, I think we try and make that churchy. We
mm,
try and make that,
mhm,
very churchy,
yep.
very what we're comfortable with.
Uh-huh.
But
Oh,
no,
yeah.
let this, like, oh, we could do a little bit of that, Jesus. Okay. But let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus. God, how do you feel about this pandemic?
Mm,
How do you feel about what's happening in the world? Like, God
yeah.
is not just some fairy dust that is,
Mercy.
like no, our God, our God is a creative God. Our God is a God of justice. Our God is a God of peace. There's so many facets
Yeah.
of God. And I just can't help but to be grateful, because we would not have seen that side of God had we not gone through this.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think God had to humble us,
Oh yeah.
and bring us back to him. And maybe not everybody is there yet,
Yep.
but I know for look, as Josh talked, for me and my house, right?
Oh yeah.
We really had to get some, even us had to get some things
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
the right priority.
Yep.
And yeah, God has just shown us so much. Again, if we would recognize it and embrace it, and just again, to your point, he's intentional. He
Hmm.
doesn't do anything by happenstance. He doesn't do anything by mistake. He's literally, I mean, he is the designer of our life.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not a oops God.
Yeah, yeah, there's no oops.
Yeah.
So this has been wonderful. Krystle, I do want you to share just any final thoughts that you would want to, about people getting the courage to walk in their purpose, taking the time now that we are still right, getting back to, I don't know if we're back to normal, but certainly people are getting back to some level of, going out a little bit more, maybe with
Yeah.
with the mask, people with the mask. Thank you.
Please, saints,
Um,
please. Nose and mouth.
but just anything, last thoughts that you want to share with our audience.
Yeah, this whole interview, Alicia, the image that has come to mind, we heard it years ago in college Bible study, was when you do life with God, you become like that little 5-year-old child. And the 5-year-old child is when your parents used to say, hey, get your coat, grab your stuff, we getting ready to go. Some of us were like, where are we going? What are we doing? What are we there yet? You know, and then the rest of us, or if you had a mama, like some of us had, mama said, stop asking all those questions. I said, get your stuff, get in the car, and let's go.
That part.
And I feel like that is the piece of courage that we need to have as mature Christians or seasoned Christians, because a lot of times we feel like, oh, I've been doing this. I've been saved 20 years, you know, and that time sneak up on you real quick. But, you know, I've been saved for 30, 40, 50 years. I know God. I know how he works, blah,
Right.
blah, 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 blah. And I think when the Bible talks about that childlike faith, that's a good picture of it. Get in the car, get your stuff, get your tail in the car, in the back seat, I said, and let God do the driving.
Come on.
Let him do the driving, right? And really, if you had a mama like I, you know, don't you ask me when we get in there. Right? So, you know, I think that's the position that we have to take, and that takes courage.
Yeah. Yeah.
That takes courage. The Bible says that we walk by faith and not by sight.
Oh, yeah.
That is in every area of our lives. That's not just when I need to believe him for a bill to be paid or a healing for my grandmother. In every area of my life, I walk by faith. So in my dating life, I'm walking by faith. In my business, I'm walking by faith. In my career, I'm walking. In my health, I'm walking by faith. And so I'm just like, Lord, whoever you have called Krystle to be, whatever purpose you have stamped me with, I'm gonna do it in faith. If you say write a book, I might make some weird faces. I'm gonna get my pen, and I'll be like, okay, teach me how to write the book.
Yeah.
And you know, we got to be okay with being the first. We got to be okay with being trailblazers. We got to be okay with not even knowing all the details or having a prototype or an example to glean from, because I think that got us in trouble too. We saw so-and-so do it like this, or they did their church plant like this. So this the prototype, this is what I follow.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the wisdom of seeing what has come before you, you still cannot put that over what God is showing you or saying to you. Absolutely. It's going to look crazy and stupid because you're going to probably be the first one to do it like this.
Yeah.
But that's a part of your purpose. So walk in faith, do it afraid, just be radically obedient to God. He's going to give us all of the fixings, all of the instructions.
Absolutely.
But be obedient to God, and let that be your courage. Because that alone is going to take a lot, but that's what we're here for.
One thing thank you, Krystle, and amazing interview as I knew it would be, and I knew the Holy Spirit would just take over. So I appreciate you for being willing to share. Absolutely. And to uplift people and to give them some hope. And I always say on the show, just start. Just take the first step. Yep. And the thing is that, like you said, I mean, God is the driver, right? God knows best. And even in your walk, if you fall, if you stumble, if you trip, right? If you get caught up, you got a blind spot, right? All of those things. It's there though for a reason.
Oh yeah.
And so that you will see, because you'll be like, oh, I needed that experience so I could write this book. Yeah. Oh, I needed that experience so I could bless.
Yep. That's it.
Podcast.
That's it.
Oh, I needed that experience so I could do this or that. So never doubt God. Never doubt what he's doing, because he's a master architect. Yeah. He's just a master architect. So
we don't even realize God is always working behind the scenes.
Yes. Always. And it'll be uncomfortable a little bit. I mean, do you think Jesus wanted to we know he didn't want to be on that cross, because he said, Lord, now can you take this cut?
Like, can we have a meeting before we go?
But then he came back to himself. Your will be done. So I thank you so much for just again coming on the show and blessing us.
Thank you.
I can't wait for everyone to hear this and to see this. So please tell us how we can keep in touch with you, how people can purchase the book,
Yeah,
and make sure you send me that link too. So I'm gonna definitely drop that in the show notes and on the YouTube description
I
box.
will. So here's my book, because I found out that there were some other titles named All the Single Ladies, but you want to look for this version. And it can be purchased on Amazon, on Barnes and Noble, or my website, which is kairoskrystle.com. Kairos is Kairos and Krystle.com. So I'll send that information over to you. I'm on Facebook, and I am on Instagram as Kairos Krystle. So hashtag Kairos Krystle or All the Single Ladies, and you're bound to find me somewhere in there.
Yay, awesome. You all go get the book, even if you don't feel that it's necessarily for you, which I mean it's about the Bible, so it's for you. But if
It's
you feel as if you it's not for you, please bless somebody else.
yeah.
Bless someone else to learn more about, the women of the Bible. I'm not even gonna just corner them to single women of the Bible that
Women of the Bible.
obeyed Christ and what he asked them to do. So bless someone else, bless yourself. Please follow Krystle. Thank you so much, hon, for
Thank you.
all right, you all be blessed. Thanks.